Hello everyone and welcome back to Johnny K Picks, and in this video I'm going to give you my super early picks and predictions for UFC Vegas 46, Kattar versus Chikadze. So you may be wondering, why am I doing this so early? Well, honestly, this break is killing me and I have a lot of time on my hands at the moment, so why not do it early to give you guys some early content. As always, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for me. And if you're on Twitter, go ahead and follow me at Johnny K Picks. So since this is a new year, I'm going to do something a little bit different. But if you're an active follower of my channel, you know that I usually only just do main card predictions. Well, guess what? Beginning this video, I'm going to give you my full card picks and predictions each and every week. So with that being said, let's get to my prelim picks for UFC Vegas 46. So the first fight we have is Jamie Pickett versus Joseph Holmes. Pickett is 12-6, 33 years old, 6'2" with an 80-inch reach. And Holmes is 7-1, 26 years old, 6'4" with an 80-inch reach. So Holmes is a Dana White Contender Series alum, and he's making his UFC debut. But I do think he's going to get the job done against Pickett. I'll be real, I'm not a big fan of Pickett. I just don't see anything that he's really good at. He does have power in his hands, but his striking is not there. He's not really that great of a wrestler. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if he does lose this fight that he may get cut from the UFC. But nevertheless, in the Dana White Contender Series, Holmes looked pretty good. His striking is pretty decent. He's mainly known for a grappler, and his ground game is legit. So if I was Pickett, I'd be worried about getting down on the mat with him, or potentially Holmes can get a standing submission too. But either way, I do see Holmes winning this fight, and I think it's going to be by submission, maybe in the second or third round. Next fight we have is Raoni Barcelos versus Victor Henry. Barcelos is 16-2. 34 years old, 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. And Henry is 21-5, 34 years old, 5'7", and it doesn't have his reach. So in this fight, I'm going to go with Barcelos here. He has pretty good striking, and he's pretty good at taking down his opponents, and he's also fought the better competition. And not to mention, this is Henry's UFC debut, but he is pretty solid all around. But I just think Barcelos is the better fighter here. I don't think Barcelos is going to get the finish because Henry is a tough dude, and he's never been finished in his career, but I do see Barcelos winning this by decision. Next fight we got is TJ Brown versus Gabriel Benitez. Brown is 15-8, 31 years old, 5'9" with a 73.5-inch reach. And Benitez is 22-9, 33 years old, 5'8" with a 71-inch reach. So in this fight, I'm going to take Benitez to win. I do think Benitez is the better striker, and if he can stay at range and use his kicks effectively, I do think he's going to win. Though I will say, Brown is tough as well, and his only path to victory in my eyes is to get the fight to the mat. But I do think Benitez can stuff the majority of Brown's takedowns and keep the fight standing, and like I said, if that happens, I think he's going to get the decision win. Next fight we have is Vanessa Demopoulos versus Silvana Gomez Juarez. Demopoulos is 6'4", 33 years old, 5'2" with a 62-inch reach, and Juarez is 10-3, 37 years old, 5'3" with a 63-inch reach. So for me, this is just a coin flip fight, but I'm going to say that Demopoulos wins this one. I do think she's the better wrestler and grappler, and that's the path to victory for her to win this fight, because Juarez is a pretty good striker, and she does have decent power. But like I said, I do think Demopoulos is going to have a clear advantage in the wrestling game, and I do think she can take her down with ease. So if she can do that and keep the fight on the mat, I can see her winning this fight by decision. Next fight we have is Dakota Bush versus Vyacheslav Borshev. Bush is 8-3, 27 years old, 5'10", with a 73-inch reach. And Borshev is 5-1, 30 years old, 5'11", with a 69-inch reach. So we got another Dana White Contender Series alum fighting here, making his UFC debut. And once again, I'm going to go with the Dana White Contender Series alum in Salikhov. Borshev is definitely going to be the better striker in this matchup. And I don't see this fight hitting the mat because his takedown defense is pretty good. Bush is kind of low volume with his strikes, and he tends to absorb a lot of damage. But again, I just think he's going to be outmatched in the striking department in this fight, and I can see Borshev finishing Bush in the second or third round. Next fight we have is Chase Sherman versus Jake Collier. Sherman is 15-8, 32 years old, 6'4" with a 78-inch reach. And Collier is 12-6, 33 years old, 6'3" with a 78.5-inch reach. So yeah, right off the bat, here is another coin flip fight. Gun to my head, I'm just going to say Collier is going to win this one. I'm going to be honest right here. Both fighters are trash cans, and it's just going to depend on who lands more strikes. And I wouldn't be surprised if Sherman wins this one either, but like I said, I got to pick somebody. I'm going to pick Collier. And the reason why I gave him the slight edge is because he did go the distance with Carlos Felipe. But with my pick, I'm going to say that Collier wins a close split decision again. Yeah, not the greatest fight on the card, but what are you going to do? Next fight we have is Ramiz Brahima versus Court McGee. Brahima is 9-3, 29 years old, 5'10" with a 73-inch reach. And McGee is 20-10, 37 years old, 5'11" with a 75.5-inch reach. So in this matchup, I'm ever so slightly going to lean Brahima. Both guys like to take the fight to the mat whenever they can. But the reason why I'm siding with Brahima is he is the younger fighter. He has taken way less damage in his career. And I do think if the fight does stay standing, I do think he has the slight edge in striking as well. But I'm not completely writing off McGee. He does have the experience. He has fought the better competition. But I just think the younger fighter is going to win this one. I think he's just going to outlast McGee and win a close decision, maybe 29-28. Next fight we have is Brian Kelleher versus Salikhov Kakramanov. Kelleher is 23-12, 35 years old, 5'6" with a 64-inch reach. And Kakramanov is 9-2, 26 years old, 5'8" with a 69-inch reach. So this is going to be a fun fight, and it pains me to do it, but I gotta pick Kakramanov on this one. I just think he's the better overall fighter right now, and Kelleher is getting up there in age, especially in the bantamweight division. But I'm not going to completely write off Kelleher. He has shown in the past that he can still win in the UFC with his guillotines. And if Kakramanov is not careful, Kelleher can definitely wrap up a submission. So I think the path to victory for him would be to keep the fight standing. I do think he's the better striker. He is the bigger and longer fighter. That would be the easiest way for him to win this fight, and I do see him winning this fight by decision. Next up is Joe Anderson Brito versus Bill Algeo. Brito is 12-2-1, 26 years old, 5'8" with a 72-inch reach. And Algeo is 14-6, 32 years old, 6 foot with a 73.5-inch reach. So I was going back and forth with this one, and I decided that I'm going to go with Algeo to win this fight. I do think this fight is going to be really close, but Algeo is the bigger fighter. He does have the better striking and the more volume, and if he can stay at range, I do think he's going to win this fight. But the red flag for me with Algeo is his takedown defense, because Brito is going to have a huge grappling and wrestling advantage, and he does like to go for takedowns. So to me, if this fight stays standing, I think Algeo wins this. If this fight goes to the mat, Brito's going to win. But I'm going to hope that Algeo can stay at range, and I do think he's going to win this fight by decision. Next fight, we have Clayson Rodriguez versus Zaruk Adashev. Rodriguez is 7-1, 26 years old, 5'6" with a 67-inch reach. And Adashev is 4-3, 29 years old, 5'5" with a 65-inch reach. Alright, so yet again, we have another Dana White Contender Series alum here, making his UFC debut, and I'm going to pick him again to win this fight. I was pretty impressed with Rodriguez in his fight. He looked really technical with his striking. I didn't really see much of a wrestling grappling game, but I do think he has good wrestling and grappling as well. And I'm not super impressed with Adashev's game. I do think he's just one loss away from the UFC cutting him. And it might happen, unfortunately, for him, because I do think Rodriguez is going to be the better fighter overall. And I do see him getting the knockout maybe in the second or third round. Okay, so those are my prelim picks and predictions. So now let's get to my main card picks and predictions. Side note here, though. I know this is kind of early, and I'm not exactly sure how the card's going to line up. But hey, I tried my best. It's a little early. I'm sure they'll switch around some fights. Like and subscribe. Okay, first fight of the main card is Joaquin Buckley versus Abdul Razak Alhassan. Buckley is 13-4, 27 years old, 5'10" with a 76-inch reach. And Alhassan is 11-4, 36 years old, 5'10" with a 73-inch reach. So right off the bat, someone's going to get knocked out in this fight. And I'm going to lean that Buckley is going to knock out Alhassan. I do think this fight is going to play out on the feet because both guys are mainly strikers and they both have really good power. But if this fight does get hairy and somebody wants to go for takedowns, I will definitely give Buckley the edge in this one because Alhassan's takedown defense is 55%. And I also think in his fight against Malkoun, Alhassan was taken down 8 times. So yeah, he needs to work on his takedown defense for sure. And I will also say that Buckley has the better cardio. So if Buckley can last the first round, I do think he's eventually going to get the knockout maybe in the second or third round after Alhassan gasses a little bit. So with my pick, I'm going to say Buckley wins by knockout. Moving on up the card, we have Michel Pereira versus Muslim Salikhov. Pereira is 26-11, 28 years old, 6'1" with a 73-inch reach. And Salikhov is 18-2, 37 years old, 5'11" with a 69.5-inch reach. So this is going to be a good fight, but I'm going to say that Pereira gets the job done. So yes, I do know if you end up picking Pereira, there's red flags that come with it. But in his last 2 fights against Nico Price and Chaos Williams, he's shown that he has the cardio to do it now, and he's not as crazy as he usually is. So maybe he's toned down a little bit, and he's starting to realize if he wants to do well in the UFC, he needs to limit that crazy. But both fighters are strikers, and they both can take the fight to the mat if they like, but I do think this fight's going to play out on the feet for the majority of the fight. I don't think there's going to be a finish in this fight because both fighters are pretty tough guys. So Pereira may start off slow in the first round, but I do think in the second and third round he's going to start to pick it up. So with my pick, I do think Pereira's going to win by decision. Next fight, we have Brandon Royval versus Rogerio Bontorin. Royval is 12-6, 29 years old, 5'9" with a 70.5-inch reach. And Bontorin is 17-3, 29 years old, 5'5" with a 67-inch reach. So with this fight, I don't know if it's going to be on the main card or not, but I would definitely put this fight on the main card. Royval is one of my favorite fighters to watch, and I do think he's going to end his 2-fight losing streak against Bontorin. I do think Royval is going to be the better striker. I know his striking is a little unorthodox, but he does like to use his elbows and kicks. On the mat, I may give Bontorin the slight edge. I do think he's the better wrestler, but Royval is no slouch on the ground. He can definitely wrap up a submission real quick. But the one thing to watch for in this fight is who is going to try to take down the other, because both fighters' takedown defenses are awful. I think they're both around 52%. So if this fight does get a little close in the rounds, I wouldn't be surprised if either fighter tries to take down the other just to try to steal that round. But overall, I think this is going to be a fairly close fight, and I'm going to go ahead and say that Royval is going to get the knockout late, maybe the third round. Alright, so co-main event time here. We have Caitlin Chookagian versus Jennifer Maia. Chookagian is 16-4, 33 years old, 5'9" with a 68-inch reach. And Maia is 19-7-1, 33 years old, 5'4" with a 64-inch reach. So the rematch is finally here. Will Jennifer Maia avenge her loss? Honestly, I don't think she's going to. I think Chookagian's going to win, and here's why. We all know that in Chookagian fights, if the fight goes to the judges' scorecards, for whatever reason, the judges always side with Chookagian. And do I think this fight's going to hit the judges' scorecards? Yes. So that's the main reason why I'm picking Chookagian to win this fight. But I'll go ahead and break down this fight a little bit more. So for me, Chookagian's going to be the better striker. She's taller, she's longer, and she likes to stay at range, and she consistently circles the ring. So Jennifer Maia is going to have to track her down and try to take her down. But Chookagian's takedown defense is pretty good. Like I said, I do think this fight's going to just go to the judges' scorecards. I think Chookagian's going to outstrike Maia, and Chookagian's going to win like 29-28, and maybe one judge will give her 30-27 for whatever reason. And yeah, Chookagian, that's my pick by decision. Mark it. Alright guys, so main event time here. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. We have Kattar versus Giga Chikadze. Kattar is 22-5, 33 years old, 5'11" with a 72-inch reach. And Chikadze is 14-2, 33 years old, 6 foot with a 74-inch reach. Alright, so yeah, this is definitely going to be the fight of the night for me. And yes, I am picking Giga to win. So both fighters are really good strikers. Kattar is more of a boxer, and Giga comes from more of a karate background, so he likes to use his kicks. So I definitely think this fight will play out on the feet. And if that happens, I'm gonna give the edge to Giga. I just think he brings more to the table with his strikes. He's a little bit less predictable. And Kattar is gonna really have to watch out for his kicks, because we've seen it before. Once Giga lands that kick, he can put down any fighter. But I will say, Kattar is a very tough dude. If you remember when he fought Max Holloway, I was shocked that he lasted all 5 rounds. And I don't know how many strikes he absorbed. It was probably in the 200 or 300 range. But that's crazy. But again, if Giga can stay at range like he did against Barboza and effectively counter Kattar's boxing, I do think he could potentially get the knockout, but I don't think he's going to. Like I said, Kattar's very tough, but if Giga does land his Giga kick, wouldn't be surprised if he puts him down. But with my pick, I'm going to say that Giga wins by decision. Alright guys, so those are my full card picks and predictions for UFC Vegas 46. If you're new to the channel, don't be shy. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter at JohnnyKPicks. And also be on the lookout for my bets video that I'll post probably the week of UFC Vegas 46. I hope everybody enjoyed their holidays, and I'll see you guys next time. But until then, happy fight night.